Thank you. Majority Leader Diaz.
Yes, I just wanted the record to reflect, because I think some people didn't have on their listening ears. We did say that we would like to fund more, and that yes, we could use more. But at this time, moving forward, we don't know what the future years will look like. So we just want to be safe and not sorry. So I just wanted the record to reflect that, because I think some people were not listening.
Thank you. Majority Leader Diaz.
Good evening, folks. Happy Friday. It's Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Did you guys watch the meeting earlier today? Oh, man, let's talk about it. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I'm Freddie Vasquez. That's Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, the City Council President. Vinny Spano, the City Clerk. And the woman you heard there speaking was Majority Leader Tasha Diaz. Good evening, folks. Good evening. I've been trying to get on all day today. My apologies, but I have people coming into town. It's Memorial Day weekend. I actually didn't realize that really till I think Thursday, yesterday of this week. So I apologize for that. I was actually trying to get on by 3:00, and here I am, 9:00. People left the house to go visit other people, so I'm home alone. So here we are. Today I want to talk about that meeting that took place earlier, the budget meeting. It was quite eventful, actually. Did you guys watch it? There was a lot going on there. It's obvious that there's tension in the city council chambers there within the Yonkers City Council members. As you know, Corazon Pineda-Isaac, the councilwoman for District 2, is running for mayor. She will be challenging Mike Spano, the incumbent, this June, next month. June 27th, I believe, is the primaries. All you Democrats, you have to come out and vote. Anthony Moranti, the Republican, will be challenging whoever wins in that primary June 27th in November in the general election. So both Anthony Moranti and Corazon Pineda-Isaac obviously are in a state of opposition against everyone else. And so they've were against the budget and voted no. And they stated their claim. I believe, Corazon Pineda-Isaac specifically had some good points. She spoke specifically about the Yonkers Public Schools and the funding that they received. But what she also did, which was surprising to me, was she quoted the New York State Comptroller's Thomas DiNapoli's report on the Yonkers financial status, or the way the money management here in the city of Yonkers, right? And I've gone over that report myself here on the podcast, and I've gone over the key findings that Thomas DiNapoli had written there in his report. And these key findings are pretty much repeated from one report to the next, and so it suggests that nothing's really being done. And so she brought these points up. And then Mike Breen responded to that, and he just, I'll let you watch. Let's talk about it. Folks, I want to get into these video clips that I have here because, there's a few of them, and I want to get it all in today. So
party that we have and our controller.
First with Anthony Moranti. Moranti was the one that set it off today. So let's start with Tim.
I know the increase is only going to be, people can accept $150, $200 a year increase. Not that much, but for some it's a lot. I feel for the people that are, especially in the apartment buildings, because now those costs are going to be borne by those renters. So there's a lot of things that come into play here that I just think that we could have given people, the taxpayers, the voters, some hope and confidence so they can go out and spend some money. Unfortunately, this was a result, okay? This was a result of, and I got to say that our relationship here, I do maintain a respectable relationship with everybody, but everyone right now is very much at odds with certain things. Obviously, that comes from a vote in November to change term limits, because once we changed those term limit votes, everything changed. That and the fact that myself and Councilwoman Peter Isaac are running for mayor, which really should have no bearing on this. So, again, the reason why, like I said, I'm bringing that particular thing up is because if it would have been done properly, and we did term limits the way we should have done, which was would have put a referendum on the November 22 vote on in November, I would have been happy to move forward and let everything be.
So Anthony Moranti takes this time to discuss or talk about the term limit and the way that it was done, the way the term limits were extended, right? And he says that he feels like, this wouldn't be happening. This tension between us council members wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for the way the term limit were extended. And also now what he's doing in trying to get the term limit vote on the ballot. So he's been going around with volunteers getting signatures so he can do that. And so he's blaming the tension on they have on this reason, and also the reason why he wasn't included. He felt that he wasn't, he was excluded from meetings that they were having on the budget, so he wasn't able to give his full input. And Anthony Moranti, he has said this before, and I mentioned this, and he has been absent from ribbon cuttings and different things like that. I'm not sure about the the meetings that they have privately, how many he's been to or not been to, but he said that he wasn't invited. He wasn't asked to be a part of it. He wasn't told that they were having these meetings, right? And so therefore he didn't attend, and he couldn't give his input, and he wasn't able to do his due diligence, right, or his fiduciary duty to his constituents in District 6 as a result. But I said this before when Tasha said something similar in regards to the affordable housing ordinance. You're not supposed to wait and ask for someone to invite you to the party. You have to crash that party. I mean, that's important, and you should know when they're having meetings. And if you find out that they did have one without you, you should make a big stink about it to assure that it does not happen again. You cannot justify you not showing up to important budget meetings on the fact that no one invited you. I mean, that's kind of a cop-out, And again, I'm going to be fair here. I'm not I'm trying to go after Moranti, but just in the real world, that's how it works. You have to, be responsible and have accountability and know when these meetings are taking place, right? And if they are trying to be sneaky about it, then call them out and make sure it doesn't happen. So let's continue hearing what Anthony Moranti had to say. Lost my mouse here.
But be that as it may, I have also taken in my hands to take it upon myself. No signs allowed, but we need to restore term limits, okay? And I'm going to be working on that tomorrow, starting having a rally at 1915 Tetra Park Avenue. And I hope people will join me and come sign a petition to restore term limits. So with that, I'm going to say I am voting no on this budget for the various reasons that I was left out of the discussions. And that was disingenuous to the people of the city of Yonkers to allow me the opportunity to possibly work with my colleagues in the administration to lower the rate below the 2.9%. I thank you for allowing me to speak, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Minority Leader Breen.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
So again, he says that, he was left out of it, and he then brought up the rally that he's going to be having tomorrow. He said the address there. I think they have put out some flyers, a post about it. So he's having a term limit rally tomorrow. So all the people of the city of Yonkers who have nothing to do tomorrow and who are, upset about the way the term limits were extended, there's going to be a rally tomorrow. Hosted by or led by Anthony Moranti, councilman of the 6th district. I'll be there if I'm able to anyway. If I can, I'm going to make it. I want to cover it. I want to get it live for you guys. So if you can't make it, you can hopefully see it on my page if I'm able to make it. Also see what's going on tomorrow. But there's going to be a term limit rally tomorrow, according to Anthony Moranti. Let's hear what Mr. Breen had to say. This was an interesting one.
Just to clarify, we're voting on number 5. We're not voting to change term limits. I just want to make sure.
And again, this is specifically about the tax that they have levied against the city, a resident city of Yonkers, 2.9% tax. And so they lowered it, folks. It was higher than 2.9%. It was actually 2.95%. So they actually worked to get it lowered to 2.9%, right? So they did a great job, right?
Sure that I got that right. Thank you. Thank you. Madam Budget Chairperson, I think you ran a very good budget process, has been smooth. We covered all the ground. I don't know how you got the weather to cooperate, but we never had one of those 95-degree days in here. So however you did it, I appreciate it. I do. To the budget team, to Mr. Lazuski, Ms. Janoka, and the JJ and the budgeteers, as I love to call them. Again, you've presented things. I don't agree with everything you've presented, but you presented everything in a very doable, readable fashion for me. So I appreciate that. And to Nick and the team, Nick, Scott, Chris, it's good to see you here. This is a good budget. Take that. Usually when we get the budget, the council tinkers with things. One of the things we usually tinker with is the tax rate. Tax rate came in at 2.9, almost 3%. And I was not happy with it. I think listening to what Mr. DeSantis has presented, we could have squeaked that thing down. We could have tweaked it down to somewhere under 2, 1.75, 1.5. It may not be a lot of money, but I think when you present a tax increase of almost 3%, it's a disservice to the taxpayers. So as much as I appreciate good aspects of this, because we couldn't get the tax rate down to where I thought it should be, to a reasonable level, an acceptable level, I won't be voting for this budget today. Thank you.
So Mike Breen not voting because of the tax of 2.9%. He said he believes we could have done a better job. So why didn't you? Why were you not able to get it lower than 2.9%, Mike Breen? And how could you have gotten it lower? Give us some details, right? Don't just say you believe we could have. Well, I believe we don't have to pay taxes at all. How about that? I believe we could have just did 0%. But how? What are the details? How do you get it done? If that is truly realistic, then present that plan and let's see if we can get it done, Mike. Don't just make a general statement knowing that it's BS that's coming out of your mouth, because a lot of Republicans are not in favor. Well, most people are not, but Republicans, that's one of their big things. Taxes, increasing taxes. And he knows a lot of his voters are Republicans. They have high incomes, so a 2%, 3% increase affects them more than someone of lower income, right? And so he has to say that, but he knows it's going to get passed anyway. He's still in the minority. So, Mike Breen, thanks for playing the game. That's all for show. He should have been saying something about it. That's like when he flip-flopped on the term limit, right? 1 minute he wasn't in favor of it when he was on the Ruro show. Then at the meeting, he was in favor of it. That's extortion, Mike. That's extortion, Mike Breen. You basically were extorting the city of Yonkers basically to get something out of it. And I hear you did, and which is why you ended up supporting it and completely changing the way you felt about term limit extension. That's extortion, in case you didn't know.
Provide us during this long.
This is Mayoral Candidate Corazon Pineda Isaac. And, obviously she's not a popular one there. Let's hear what she had to say.
Arduous process, and I'm grateful for the support that you guys provide us during this. To our auditors, PKF O'Connor Davies, also professional process. And to you, Madam Chairwoman, you're going to type to be budget chair, and I appreciate all that you do as chairwoman. I will not be voting on item number 5, and approving our operating tax budget for the fiscal year. And I've been here before. This is not the first time that I voted against the budget. Most of the times, actually all of the time that I've ever voted against a proposed budget has been because I felt that it doesn't do enough for education. And I know many folks are tired of me saying the same thing. I'm sure that parents and students are also tired of the same conditions that they experience in the Yonkers Public Schools. So just so that, we can have a clear understanding of my concerns is, there are almost 25,000 students that attend our 39 public schools. 73% of them are economically disadvantaged. 19% of them have disabilities. 13% of them are multi-language learners. And the majority of them are students of color. Education, as we know, it is the foundation for upward mobility, for success, for financial stability. It really is the best tool that we can give individuals to really improve their lives. So the reason I'm not voting for this budget is because I don't think it does enough to move the needle. And I know that we have, we've dealt with chronically underfunded schools. I know that, we lobby the state for the state to do more. I understand that. I'm not disputing that. What I'm saying is once the state has proposed what they're going to propose, once we know what's coming from the state, it is our responsibility as especially with a Board of Education that is dependent on us to do as much as we can to push the needle so that every year doesn't get harder and harder for our students to catch up, to succeed, and for us to overcome the hurdles that have faced the youngest public school students. And I've also said this often again, many times, but I'll say it again today. Our schools have ratios that are very large when it comes to support services. One guidance counselor for every 845 students. One psychologist for every 845 psychologists. One social worker for 1,931 students. One public safety officer for every 427 students. This is what I'm looking at. This is what I'm working towards. Our students need more support services, more programming, and they need the city to really make education their first priority. And I don't believe that this budget does that. Actually, I think it's a very mediocre budget because it forces, it was said that, we've given the superintendent everything that he asked for. Well, I never heard him say that he wanted to deplete his fund balance. I never wanted him to say that he wanted to fill his $32 million gap by using fund balance. But what he is, or what the Board of Ed is made to do, they are forced to use their fund balance. They are forced to close a gap themselves because the city has not provided additional funding. And that is what we are doing today. So I don't pat myself on the back for increasing the maintenance of effort $5 million, because what is $5 million going to do for a budget for the Yonkers Public School System that is more than that's almost $500,000. What is that going to do? It's going to move it very little. Therefore, it is a responsibility on us to do much more, to not force the Yonkers Public Schools to use their fund balance, to use almost entirely their fund balance. And let me put this in maybe lay terms. If I was at risk to not be able to pay my rent, to not put food on my table, to not be able to pay my car payments, I too will force myself to go into my savings. But where does that leave me in the case of another emergency? So that is what we're doing. We are forcing the Yonkers Public Schools to go into their savings to close a gap so that students don't lose even more. So for this reason, I will not be voting for this budget because I believe we have not done the most that we can do for the Yonkers Public Schools. Has it raised the maintenance of efforts by $1 million? Sure. But could we have pushed to do more? Absolutely. And that is where we are. Just talk to parents. Just talk to the families that live here. And I think when this budget is passed,
So Corazon has a lot of good points there, right? I mean, look, I talk about education all the time. I criticize our educational system here. I mean, the things that happen within our school district. I mean, again, you have a teacher that has allowed his students to see his penis, and this teacher has not been, written up at the very least. There's so much politics going on with our school district. It's unbelievable. The Family and Friends Network exists in there. And so what happens is you get people that get these jobs who really don't care, not passionate about the education of the students. They're there for summers off, Memorial Day weekend paid for, Christmas paid for, weekends off. We're done by 3. Right? That's what we get. And they get very high salaries for that. Most of the budget that the school has here in the city of Yonkers goes to salaries. And so when they discuss how is it that we are going to find ways to fund these things that are needed, these support services, this additional staff that we need to hire in the public schools, the additional resources that we need, the music, arts, sports, and other programs that we do not have, that every other school seems to have, they don't talk about salaries. And I'm not just referring to the Yonkers Public School staff and their salaries, all the department salaries. That's where we find the money. We don't raise taxes just to fund things for our schools because we don't want to stop guys from getting $100,000 a year in overtime. We don't want to monitor, our departments to assure that people are not stealing time. We don't want to cut titles and job positions that were made up just to provide one for a friend or a family. They don't talk about that. They say it's either we don't fund the schools well enough or we raise your taxes. Which one is it? You choose. That's what they leave you with, right? So Corazon makes good points, but here's my problem. First, Corazon, you're running for mayor, okay? You're running for mayor. You have to make stronger points and you have to speak a lot more clearly. You can't make simple mistakes like 19%. You made that several times, those small mistakes, and they take away from the power of that important message that you're giving. So just work on that. That's all I'm saying. I noticed that when you were at City Hall as well. You got to tighten up the speech. It's got to be impactful. You got to hit people. But here's really my real criticism. Corazon, you've been there for quite some time now. This isn't nothing new. Our schools have been in much need for a very, very long time. And in past years, when this very issue was brought up, you, like every other council member, blamed the state. The state is not giving us enough money. The state is not giving us enough money. We need more money from the state. She also brings up the New York State Comptroller's report, which was nothing new also, and had been there for you to address and bring up in meetings before, but you didn't. And so now that you are making these points, which are valid points, which are important points, which needs to be said, what people are now focusing on is the fact that you're running for mayor and you're only saying it because of that reason. And I don't want the message to get lost in all the politics. She's right about all that. She should have said it a long time ago, but it doesn't take away from the fact that she's right about all of that. We need to do more for the schools. The budget has not done enough for the schools time and time again. Our schools have not improved. They half-ass shit, they give us mediocre shit, and we're supposed to be happy about that. We're supposed to be grateful for that little bit that we got. It could be worse. We could have no teams instead of 2 teams for all the high schools we have. And so what if they don't have cheerleaders when they go play other schools like Carmel or Mayo Pack, and they have cheerleaders, their uniforms are brand new, their field looks immaculate. So when these boys step onto that field right away, their confidence is already taking a hit. They don't feel that they're good enough already before they've even got onto the field and snapped made the first snap. That does something to these kids psychologically, emotionally, and it makes them want to give up. It makes them not want to be a part of this team that isn't up to par with all the other schools that they play against, and they have been getting made fun of. And how do I know this? Because the football players themselves have said it. Why do you think my wife started that cheerleading squad? It was when a football player came up to her and said, you know, miss, We went and played. It was Carmel, actually. And they had the cheerleaders and the uniforms and this, that, and the third. And we just, ragtag, bunch of, guys out there. And so she felt that she needed to do something. So she took her own time, volunteered Saturdays after school, didn't ask for another dollar, didn't ask for another penny, didn't want to mess up the budget. Those are sacrifices that we have to make. We want to improve the schools. We have to give up. We the people. Especially those that are taking over $160,000 a year, $200,000 a year. So when they compare our school district to Buffalo and Rochester, why don't you compare the salaries as well? I'm just saying. That's the difference there. And I know you guys like to tell part of the story so you can confuse people. But the fact is that Buffalo, Rochester's, those cities are very poor compared to Yonkers. They don't pay the same amount in salaries as Yonkers do. They don't receive the same amount of revenue. There's a difference. They also have more charter schools up there, which is why they get more money, because they give them more for the charter schools. So you can't compare apples to grapes. And that's what they like to do. They like to blame the state all the time. But we have to stop blaming the state, throwing our hands up. What can we do? The state didn't give us our fair share once again. I mean, are we going to continue saying that year after year, or are we going to make it happen for our kids? But I question many times if they even care about our kids. Do they care because so many are minorities, and not to make it about race? Do they care because so many are impoverished, not to make it about class? Many of them send their kids to school here in the Yonkers Public Schools for elementary school. Yeah, they'll do that. The problem is high school. When they get to high school, where do many of their kids go? Just so you know, Lakeisha's son went to Stepinac High School. Let's finish see what else they had to say here.
Do more? Absolutely. And that is where we are. Just talk to parents. Just talk to the families that live here. And I think when this budget is passed, I know for certainly that the parents are not, and the students are not going to actually feel the effects of this budget. Like, they're going to tangibly feel, wow, these are the services that increase. No, because for the most part, we are keeping their budget status quo, and we haven't prepared for the funds, the ARPA funds that we're not gonna be getting. We haven't prepared for the future coming years. We haven't prepared enough for the outstanding labor contracts, and we're setting ourselves up to be in a very difficult position a few years. So again, my goal is always to do more for the Yonkers Public Schools, and I just believe that this budget didn't do enough of that. But thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
So again, not voting for it because it did not do enough for the Yonkers Public School, and I agree with that. Again, I am for education. Education is key. Education is key to lowering crime, to lowering the rate of poverty and homelessness. Education is so important.
Majority Whip Rubo.
Thank you, Council President. I will be supporting this year's budget.
Of course, Rubo.
I want to thank the finance team for all of your hard work, as always, and providing us with great feedback. And of course, again, it adds funding to public safety. It adds 9 new firefighters, which we have not seen that many added in many, many years. It adds additional funding to our school system in roughly $5 million, but it also continues to invest capital money, as we'll vote on the capital budget soon, to improve our school buildings. And we need to continue to invest in our schools. In this year's budget alone, in the city and school budget, our healthcare costs are going up by $23 million alone. That's almost a 6% tax increase. Just over the last 8 years, our healthcare costs have gone up $77 million, and it continues to spiral out of control. And it is something that we need to address. And I know we discussed it here. Our finance team has, along with the mayor, had discussions with Albany about how to work through our healthcare healthcare costs. It is something that we need to get under control, that we need to stay ahead of. And I think this budget does several responsible things, as did last year's. Last year, we put in $30 million into contingency for labor contracts. Labor contracts were settled this year, and that money was there. This year, we have another $9 million on the city side and another $7 million on the school side for contingency for labor contracts. We're being responsible. And when it comes to water, and I didn't bring this up earlier when we were discussing the water rates, but the last few years, we have not raised the water rates as high as New York City has raised our rates. And so we're still making investments in our infrastructure, but we're trying to be responsible and not kill our taxpayers. We've sat here for more than 30 hours. We've heard commissioners come in, directors before us at this table here, and they justify why they need more. They justify how they're doing more with the same amount of budget. And in that time, as we've sat here all this time, we've had some discussions off the floor. We've had some discussions on the floor about this budget. But I think it's disingenuous to say that we've kept people out of this budget, that we haven't had discussions with all members of the council. There's only 7 of us up here. We are not in a chamber filled with hundreds of members. There are 7 of us. And we can approach each other, and I think have in the past, to have discussions about the budget. I would like to know, because I didn't hear this, what are we cutting? If we're not raising taxes, then what are we cutting in order to provide more to our schools or to not raise the taxes as much? Because in my understanding, 1 + 1 is 2. If you want to keep the taxes down, you need to cut. If you want to provide more to our school system or in other areas of our budget, we need to cut. So are we cutting police? Are we cutting fire? Are we cutting garbage? Those are the 3 places where most of this budget lands, and at least on the municipal side. So what are we cutting? Because all I hear from 2 people that are running for mayor on this city council is that the city's not safe. But I don't hear, I hear give more to the police, but I don't hear cut the police. I hear term limits. I hear a lot of empty rhetoric. So what are we cutting? We're not giving to schools, is what I'm hearing. But we are. We're giving $5 million more to the schools. Last year, I heard we're not giving enough to the schools. So we gave them another $4 million more than the mayor proposed, and still, we have no votes on the budget. So I hear a lot of empty rhetoric here. I'm sorry that I'm bringing this up here, but it frustrates me a little bit that we spend the entire month of May sitting on this floor listening to our directors and commissioners come before us to talk about what their needs are. And we try to do this in a responsible way. Instead, we're up here discussing things that should not be discussed on the floor of the city council meeting. Several years ago, there was
Oh, I'm sorry. Again, John Rubo here, upset about what Corazon just had said. He's upset about what Moranti said about the term limits. And he's saying that it's all about the campaign, right? You got two people here that are running for mayor. This is what it's all about. We've given money to the schools. We've given $5 million more. Last year, we had an additional $4 million when they said they needed more money. How do we get more money without raising taxes? If we raise taxes, then people are going to get upset, right? But if we want more stuff for the schools, then what do we do? What do we do, right? Do we cut jobs? And he says the police department, sanitation, and the fire department. He names those three departments specifically. It doesn't have to be fire, Yonkers, police, or DPW. It could be a bunch of those people up in City Hall. It could be all those damn aides that they don't need. Tasha Diaz doesn't need a $93,000 a year chief of staff. Mike Breen doesn't need an $89,000 a year chief of staff. There's a lot of areas and ways you can cut to get more money for the schools, John. And I'm sorry, but when it comes to the schools, I'm going to get upset about it. It seems like they don't care about our education. They don't care about the school district. And John, I hear, I'm not even going to say it because I don't want to make accusations, but is it because it's largely a minority school district, John? Your concern is the one elementary school that your kids go to because after that, once they hit high school, they're going to Stepanak or they're going to Iona Prep, right? We don't care about this. We're not going to cut firemen. We're not going to cut police in order to improve our school district. The only way we're going to get more money for the schools is if we raise taxes, and you guys don't want that. That's basically what John Rubo's saying. And he's saying people are basically just grandstanding. It's about a mayoral campaign, and this is not the place for it. But I don't think what Corazon is saying is about her campaign. Well, the points she's making are valid. Maybe she's making them now in such a strong and firm manner because she's running for mayor, but the points are still valid. And if you guys manage the money right, we would have more money for our school district. We have to look at those salaries. We have to look at those overtime hours that these people are getting. We have to look at the positions that have been created, positions that people have, that maybe they don't need to have it. There's no need for it, and we can cut it. That's what we need to look at. And we need to care so much about our education, our school district, that we're willing to do it, John. You have to say, you know what, you're right. I don't want to raise taxes. I don't want to do that. So let's figure this out. Where can we get more money? By now, we should know that the state is not going to give it to us. So stop saying that already. The state already made it clear why they're not giving you more money, John. And Corazon is going to talk about it here in a minute.
A yes vote by one of the members on this council that used, and in that year's budget, we used $24 million on the school side of fund balance to close the budget gap. $24 million. And you voted yes on that budget. So it was okay to do it then, but it's not okay to do it now in a year you run for mayor.
You got a point.
Politics. And I don't think the people of this city, I think they're tired of politics. They want to feel safe, and they want a strong and productive school system. And with the money that we've had, the money that we do provide to the school system, we see graduation rates that are up. We see children succeeding in our schools. They're going we have art and music. We are providing for the people of this city. And it's unfortunate that politics is playing a role in this year's budget. And I respect the two people who are running for mayor that sit on this council. I've gotten along with them for many years, and I respect both of you. But it's unfortunate that we're bringing politics into this year's budget. With that said, we're providing for the people of the city. We're providing for our school system. We continue to invest in our schools, whether it be art or music or sports. We're improving parks. We're improving programming, and we're keeping.
Thank you, John. Thank you. I don't want to hear it anymore. John is like, hey, we're improving parks. We're giving you a crumb here. We're giving you a crumb there, and you're not happy? You people are just too demanding. You want too much. We're doing the best we can. I mean, we have to give our friends and our family $200,000 jobs. God damn it. Pardon me, Laura. That's what's more important. We have to give these developers tax breaks. AMS needs tax breaks. That's what he sounds like. He sounds almost like, you know, we're the beggars, right? We're the beggars that Tasha Diaz spoke of. That's what he's making it sound like. We're providing what the people of this city need. That's not true. The schools are not safe. That's not true. We've seen the video of a kid getting beat up and stabbed. There are others. We've heard of kids bringing guns to school. The gang violence in the schools is out of control. John, that's not true. You can't just generalize all the Yonkers public schools based on the elementary school that your kids go to. They're not all like that, John. Why don't you put your kids in Maria the Hostels? Would you do that ever? Probably not. You're not in tune. You can tell he's thinking, what else could I say? We're doing this, we're doing that, we're providing this, we're providing that. That is not true. You know how many parents are complaining about their child's IEP services not being met? No bus monitors. Parents are complaining. My child's bus was in 3 accidents just this year alone, and it's not even over yet. They didn't have a monitor for a very long time. And they love to brag about the 90% graduation rate. But the numbers don't add up. And I'm going to be going through that in another podcast. I'm going to show you the numbers. This is from a website that's independent of the city of Yonkers. It's on the Yonkers Public Schools. Gives you the score, reviews of everything. Gives you the percentages of the, experienced staff and the percentages of the inexperienced staff. Gives you a lot of information, a lot of detailed information. And it doesn't make sense that the graduation rate is 90%, and it states it in this on this website. But when you look at all the other numbers, they're low. Most of the kids are on level 2 out of level 4. I mean, you may see one level 4 or something, and it's the Native American and the Asian kids. That's a fact. I'm not even being funny. Everyone else is a 2. So how can we have such a high graduation rate when the math proficiency is below state average, when the English and science proficiency percent is below state average, when most kids in all those different categories at a level 2 at best? Who are we graduating? Are we sending kids out into the world unprepared, unqualified, and the majority of them being minorities? Is that why you can still go to the southwest side of Yonkers and see a lot of people that graduated from the Yonkers public schools? But what has that translated into? Tasha Diaz brags about being a product of the Yonkers public schools. Well, we wouldn't use you as a role model to highlight how great our school district is. In fact, we wouldn't even want to claim that. The way you've spoken, the way you speak to people, the way you conduct yourself, you are a product of the Yonkers Public School, then you are a perfect example of why we need to do more in our school district. And she is the education chairwoman. Yet she didn't say anything much, really. She should be the one that's saying what Corazon Pineda Isaac is saying. She should be the one that knows exactly what it is that our school district needs, what it doesn't have. But she is the least qualified to do that. She is the last person we should be having as the education chair. And I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Right? I'm going to do a good job as my wife, that's for sure. By the way, thank you for shouting her out that one time, Tasha, and thanking her for the reason why you guys added $5 million to the budget for social workers.
Things. So let's talk about a couple things. Number one, as far as
Did the mayor's kids ever attend Yonkers Public Schools? Did they ever ride the school bus? Of course not. And where they proclaim such high graduation rate, us only because they get pushed through to make the system look good when they can read, write, or even speak English. And I'm assuming you're seeing can. And, you know, that's true. And as much as people can say, oh, that's BS, or that's conspiracy theory stuff, it's not. You look at the numbers. I'm all about the statistics. And I see the numbers, and they don't make sense. Yes, the statistics show, and let's just look at it really quick, all right? Let me show you exactly what I'm saying here. Can you see that? Yonkers Public Schools, let's look at 2014 here. Jeez, I can't get it right. I don't know where the numbers. I wanted to. Okay, here. So we have. This is not it either. Oh, here we go. Yonkers Public Schools, elementary, middle school indicator levels, right? All students. 2s. 1. Progress. Here we got 1-4. Elementary school, middle composite performance. All students. 2. Indian American, Alaska. 2. Asian, 4. You see, I wasn't lying. Asian and Native. So this is their composite performance, right? Based on their ethnicity. Black African American, 2. Hispanic Latino, 2. Multiracial, 2. White, 3. At least the whites is 3. Still lower than the Asians. Economically disadvantaged, we're at 2, right? So all students who are economically at a disadvantage, what is their composite performance in elementary school? Right? Elementary, middle course subject performance. All students. 1. Indian, then they break them down again by different race. The Asians, 3. They do the best. Hispanics, 2. Black, African American, 1. Again, this is 4 being the highest. And this is the different, Hispanics, ELA, math, science, combined. Right? Look at these numbers. 2s, okay, we got some 2s, 3s here. Okay, we got some 3s, multiracial whites. Again, the Asians is 4. And we're talking about the weighted average performance here. All students, ELA, math, science combined. Average 2 for all students. So again, how is it that we have a 90% graduation rate when the students are doing, below average? How is that? Doesn't make sense. It goes all the way secondary to high school, all the way. Right? And see, these are the statistics. These are the data. This is the information that you should be looking at, right? Politicians, the elected officials could tell us whatever they want. But we have to look at the actual data. That's what's important. That's what matters. And so I like looking at it broken down. So it's here with the graduation rate, secondary graduation rate, all students. This is 2019, 2020, 88.3%. In 5 years, 87% graduating. Doesn't have the American Indians. I guess there is none. Asians, 96.5. So there's all the 90s, pretty high. Students with disabilities, however, 65%, 65.5%. English language learners, 61%. This is based on 4 years. Economically disadvantaged, the poor graduating at an 88% rate. That's good. But how is that when their numbers in the different subjects are low? I don't know where I had these charts that I wanted to show. It just doesn't make sense. So, oh, here we go. So the numbers are fudged, right? So the numbers are fudged, right? So, for example, here, 8th grade science results. District, level 1. This is the state average, so we're above here. But overall, proficiency, we're below. New York State average, 49%. Our district, 27%. And the grade 8th grade science results, 8th grade science proficiency. Right? Let's look at grade 4. Again, below. We're at 73% proficiency. The state average is 80%. So how is that we have such a high graduation rate when we're below average and everything? Math. Proficiency, 24%. Wow. District, 23%. They got to do better with the math. 7th grade math, 35% is the state average. We're at 25%. 6th grade math, 38 to 36, so and so on. So, when they talk about 90% graduation rate, the numbers can be fudged. And these are just talking points. If they were to break it down, you'll see just how bad it really is. No child get left behind, right?
As having this vote today.
So, really quick, I want to play Tasha Diaz.
Pass a fiscally responsible budget, and we have to make sure that residents continue to have all the services that they're currently getting, making sure that our garbage is picked up, that our parks are being maintained, that, we have our fire and police officers have the equipment and the vehicles and everything.
You know what it is? I don't hate anybody. Like, I don't hate, they're just, it's not that important for me to hate. But Shanae Williams, it's something about her, right? Is it me? But it's just, you're just so phony, Shanae. That's what bothers me. I think it's your phoniness, right? You're just too fake. You're talking about picking up garbage here, right? Oh, we got to make sure that this budget, it's good. It assures that garbage is being picked up, blah, blah, blah. But there's a constituent that has been trying to get you to work with her because she can't get her garbage picked up. She can't get her garbage picked up because there are cars blocking, abandoned cars blocking an easement that we have proven to you. And at this point, you should have had the abandoned cars removed, but they're still there to this day, right? You don't care. You don't even respond to this woman. You haven't responded all week. 2 weeks now. Because you're over there with the Glocks for Ox, right? But here you are talking about, we want to make sure that has enough budget to get the constituents' garbage picked up. And you don't really care about that. You're so full of it. You're so fake, Shanae. That's why I am the way I am with you, because you're fake. Like, you're worse than Tasha, like, in your fakeness. You're worse than Tasha, for real. I mean, at least Tasha is just, you know what you get with her, right? She's all all wild in your face. You try to play this part like you're so sophisticated and intelligent and stuff, and you're saying things like you're really meaning it, but you don't. Just the fakeness about you. That's what it is. I'm sorry. It's just you're gonna talk about picking up
that they need so that they can continue to keep our city safe, and the list goes on. I just think that there's a lot that goes into this budget, and I don't want to be repetitive. I'm not going to go off as long as my colleague just did, but I will say that, for members of this council to say that they weren't a part of the process after sitting here day after day, week after week for the past month with everyone in this room, and then to say you're not a part of the process, so that's the reason to not support this budget.
Yeah,
I think that's a cop-out. It's nonsense. As budget chair, which, you were in years past, the process. That if there's something that you want to change or amend or adjust in the budget before we bring it to the floor for a vote, there's different ways of getting your message across, whether it's through the chair or through your caucus, whatever it is. You have to take that step and reach out and put whatever it is that you want to see in there or ask for whatever it is that you want. But I don't know if that was done. And then we sit here and say that we're not a part of the process. It doesn't make sense, And then, to the point of our public schools. First, let me say I appreciate the
Uh-oh.
the other day we had our second public hearing and some parents did come out and speak, the few that did, and all they spoke about was the funding for our Board of Ed. After that meeting, that public hearing, I did have the opportunity to speak with some of those parents and really explain to them the challenges that we have with our school budget year after year, the lack of funding that we get from Albany when we're giving so much more in taxes and other communities that's similar to our size, like the commissioner said earlier, Rochester's getting 45 million
Oh
from
my
the state,
gosh.
and we're getting 15 million. Where's the comparison? That's just that's not right. There's no equity in that.
There's no equity in that. Do you
I
even
think
know
the
what you're
public may not-
saying? Does she even understand the words that she uses? What do you mean there's no equity in that? Explain that to us. Explain that to those who have a brain that functions, Shanae. That's a cop-out. You want to talk cop-outs? That's a cop-out. Continuing to blame the state is a cop-out. The school district here is not the New York State Public Schools, okay? They are the Yonkers Public Schools. Your primary job is not Glocks for Ox. Your primary job is to assure that we have a sound budget, a real budget that really addresses what it is that's important here in the city of Yonkers, and one of them is education. And so what are you talking about? You spoke with parents and you just copped out to those parents, right? That's what you did. Well, it's not our fault. You see, it's the state. They just don't give us enough money. It's how is that equitable? I don't know. You tell me, Shanae. You tell us. How is that equitable? You don't even know anything about equity, equality, or any of that. Look what's going on in your district. Your people are getting pushed out, priced out. Your people are forgotten. 19% of the school district is made up of Black people, Shanae. You should care more because you said yourself, you've seen the difference from the Yonkers Public Schools to that of Hastings where you went to, where you then realized you were Black. Remember that epiphany you had? Stop the nonsense. You don't even know what you're talking about. You're just voting yes because that's what you were told to, Shanae. I'm just saying. I don't care. Again, the schools is important to me. And I will call you out every time, every one of you. You're doing a disservice to our kids. You sit up there, you don't care. You're more concerned with yourselves and getting ahead. You don't even have kids, Shanae. You don't understand how important it is for us parents to feel like we are sending our kids to a quality school, and when we put them on the bus, they're safe. We don't want our kids seeing fights, people getting stabbed, kids performing sexual acts in the bathroom, teachers allowing students to see their penises, and then when great staff members arrive, finally, they target them because people are jealous, because people don't want to have to be forced to actually work. People don't want to be shown out, I should say, outdone, outworked. People get jealous even if students like a certain person, a certain teacher. But you have to earn that. Get their love and respect. Work for our kids. Do your jobs. Work on this budget and get us the money. $5 million is nothing because you are going to see increases in the salaries next year because at the very least, everyone gets a step raise. Some people have been promoted. So you're adding expenses. So what does that $5 million really do to the students or for the students? It's going to get eaten up by salaries, benefits, and other compensation. So yeah, the $5 million is nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing. Every high school should have its own sports team. They should have great uniforms. They should have cheerleaders. They should have after-school programming, drama class, debate class, get Mimi Roque out here, send her DA office in there, set up a program, a law program, a debate program, get these DPW guys, you know, who are just maybe sitting around in the meantime, get them into schools, you know, see which kids are interested in maybe going into sanitation, public works, plumbing, get some plumbers out of our high schools, get them to work for the city, fix up our sewer lines. I mean, you can get creative if you really care. If you're really passionate, you can get creative, like this woman I know who created a whole cheerleading squad from nothing, no money. And it was amazing because she was passionate about it, because she actually wanted to get it done. Isn't that something, Shanae? When you want to really do something, you get it done. When you wanted to get your Glocks for Ox opened up with your Ox Glocks sick tank or whatever it's called, the ambulance that you had, no limit body or auto body over there fixing all up, and you guys must have told them to put a rush on it because that was a priority for them. And they had it ready just in time. And you got that done, right, Shanae? I mean, you were holding up a paintbrush. Wow. You were doing something. You volunteered your entire week. Volunteer your ass in the school. Go do something. Why don't you volunteer with my wife and help those girls with their cheerleading? Get them to state. Show something real, Shanae. Stop being so damn fake. And that is why it's hard for me to support you. And as much as, you know, for those of you who know, it's hard for me to support her. When you make education a priority, then I'll get behind you. I don't care who you are. I will vote for Mayor Mike Spano if he promised to get the schools up to par the way that I believe they should be. I would tell everybody to vote for him if that was guaranteed, because that's what I care about, our kids. That's it for me. And that's important. And you all should be caring about our kids, especially you women of color, right, Esquire? How many kids are going to have that opportunity to become a judge, especially one with so much connections? A Black woman that will have it easy if she plays her cards right. Aren't you quite lucky? There are a lot of white women that don't even have that. You came from low income. You know what it's like. Put an emphasis on it. Put an emphasis on our education. They deserve so much more. Hire more staff. They need more staff. There should not be any staff cuts. Staff that are there should be kept, unless, of course, they're showing students their penis. Unless, of course, they're verbally abusing students, calling students racist in front of other students. Yeah, maybe we could let those go, but we're going to need to replace them with good quality people. And so you have to stop attacking the good people, the great people that are going to make a real difference. And you have to partner up with them. And you have to support them. Otherwise, you're going to fail. Guaranteed that. Shanae stuttering to defend Spano school budget cuts. It's hilarious if it wasn't so sad, right? That's what I don't like about her. She makes it so damn obvious too, right? She's, oh man, let's listen to the city council. Actually, you know what? I want to play Corazones real quick, and then I want to play the city council president because she had a mouthful. She had a lot to say.
Supporting this, and you know as I stated before, as education chair, I have personally had those talks. Council President.
This is our education chair. Beggars, beggars, beggars. Here is Miss Majority Gang Leader Beggar Tasha Diaz. Right? I'm just saying, Tasha, that wasn't right.
I just want the record to reflect that, yes, I too will be supporting this. And as I stated before, as education chair, I have personally had those talks with the Board of Trustees and Edwin Cansada myself.
Oh, really?
They are in agreement to what we have proposed in this budget to take the money from the fund balance. As a lifelong Yonkers member and a product of Yonkers Public Schools, of course, we could always do more. But when do we rally the state to give the aid and the funding that we are due to us. It's not fair because people are campaigning to use this as a political platform and to hold the city in political gridlock, to be selfish. As I state, I've lived in Yonkers my entire life. I have went to these schools. I have seen what they were then and what they are now. Yes, we want to make it better, but why would we increase something if we don't have it? That is, if you want to run for a position, right, and you feel as if you are the best person for that position, why would you be in a mindset to raise something that years down the road you know that we may not be able to fund? When it comes to the MOE, there you cannot decrease that. So why would you increase it now, not knowing next year or the years to follow what we have to look forward to? I think that is selfish. I think that is someone grandstanding. I think that is a disservice to the city. I think that is a disservice to all of us here on the council to say that they were left out of certain things, because if you come on time to work, if you have come to the budget meetings on time, you would have been in the loop. So to blame that on someone else is not fair. Take responsibility of the job you are elected to do. You are here to serve the people and the constituents of the city of Yonkers. And you can't sit here now and say you were left out, because if you felt you were left out, they elected you to be their voice. So if you felt back weeks ago you were left out, now is not the time to be their voice to grandstand. The time to be their voice was when you were left out. So I am in support of this piece of legislation. Thank you.
No. Thank you, Tasha Diaz, the majority leader, councilwoman in 3rd District. 2 finger rings and gold teeth and ain't afraid of whole heat. You see her 2 finger rings? She a rapper or is she a councilwoman? Thought that was a rap there. She is bugging. All right, let's talk your lingo. You're bugging, girl. What you talking about? You bugging. You don't even know what you're talking about. Do you know what MOB means? Is that what she said? Right? MOB. She talks about the fact that, Moranti is saying that he was left out and that's why he, whatever. I love how she says, well, you can't just be saying you were left out. Now is not the time to be saying that. You should have whatever. We'd have meeting, blah, 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 blah. This is the same person that was saying how she was left out of the affordable housing ordinance meeting and that she didn't have a seat at the table. Remember that? And so that is why she was changing her mind and deciding not to override the mayor's veto. Remember that? Where she was grandstanding and she was screaming all loud and she was going off. Remember that? Yeah.
Let's get it popping.
That's where I got that audio from. She said, let's get it popping. I thought she was going to fight somebody. I was kind of new to politics, so I didn't really know that that's just how she is. And here she has the nerve to criticize Moranti for what he said. What a hypocrite. That's the education chair. She says she spoke to the Board of Education about this. They're okay with spending the money from the
Who on May 16th, 2023, put out
no choice. That's what she doesn't understand. Let's listen to Lakeisha Collins about
budget review of the city of Yonkers. And what were his key findings? It says that the city continues to rely.
So finally, and this is my issue with Corazon, finally, somebody brings up the New York State Comptroller's report. This is the report that he has written on the, the financial health of the city of Yonkers. It talks about their money management, their budget. It's basically a report on their budget. Also, they give financial whatever analysis. So she is going to read some of the key findings from Thomas DiNapoli's reports, something that I've spoke about here in the podcast, and I mentioned and I pointed out. And finally, those that are tasked with questioning these items has finally done so at a meeting. Before that, they all ignored those reports. They did not care about them. They never looked at them. Again, most of them just vote as they're told. But Corazon Pineda Isaac is running for mayor. And so now things have changed. And this is what is causing her to not get the necessary support that she would need to beat Mike Spano, because they are saying you're a hypocrite. You're part of the problem. You had many opportunities to speak up and you didn't. And now you're just speaking up because you're running for mayor. And so Tasha Diaz and Shanae Williams and all those, John Rubo, who've said that, have a point. And I agree with them. And I don't say that often. But again, I don't want the message to get lost. What she is saying is very much so valid. And that should be the focus. Not the fact that she is now saying it because she's running for mayor. The focus and what's important is what she is saying. Forget who's saying it. Let's listen to Corazon.
Authority that we have, my thoughts on this budget. Let's take the highest authority that we have and our controller, who on May 16th, 2023, put out a budget review of the city of Yonkers. And what were his key findings? It says that the city continues to rely on $112 million in non-recurrent revenue, such as appropriated fund balance, one-time state funding, sale of property to finance its operations. It states that we include revenue estimates for the income surcharge, sales and use tax, as well as city and state mortgage tax that may not be achievable. It states that results in additional debt and interest costs because of the cost of tax or surety claims are bonded instead of being financed through the operating budget. It states that 8.5 for contractual settlements, 5 of the city 8 unions collective and bargaining agreements have expired or will expire soon, which we know, and the city could face additional expenditures when these contracts are settled. That it includes that a 5.5 million general fund contingency reserve amount is less than 1% of the city's general fund budgeted appropriations, and that this may exhaust the current amount budgeted, leaving limited flexibility to cover any unforeseen or expected cost. I'm going to leave it there. And with regards to the Yonkers Public School District, it says that it is structurally unbalanced with a budget gap of at least 33 million, which we're using fund balance to cover. It says that we overstates the state funding for basic aid by approximately 1.2 million. It stated that we were relying on 12 million of additional state aid for services and expenses, which may not be available in future years. It also says that it does not include a specific appropriation that is adequate for our expired contracts, in addition to other things. So it is not just me saying that we could do better in this budget. It is the highest authority in the state that audits our budget, the controller of New York State. So again, for anyone watching, don't take my word for it. Take the controller's word for it. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Take my.
And she was made all over with feces. Lie. Yeah, that's a lot of
Oh, I've been muted again. Sorry. I was muted again, was I? Anyway, I'm going to play, what's her name? Lakeisha Bellamy. I'm going to play hers, and then I'm going to get up out of here. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. She went off. Actually, you know what?
By Albany, New York. But
Really quick, listen to Mike Breen's, his response to Thomas D. Napoli.
with all due respect to the state controller whose office is in Albany, New York, we get shortchanged by Albany, New York, by the state Senate, the state governor's office, the three people in a room. We all know, you want to talk about education, Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse don't pay the taxes to the school district that the people of Yonkers do. The whole three cities, we pay more. We've had $108 million in state aid for the last 12 years. So for this guy to write down, and I'm sure he's an expert on this, but let him take into account why all...
He said for this guy. He called the state controller this guy. That's messed up. Really quick, let me play Lakeisha, and then I'm up out of here. Where's Lakeisha at? Where you at? Minority Leader. I know I loaded that one. No. I put it. Oh, I don't got that one. Well, it's up on the page. That was the one I really wanted to play. You know what? I'm gonna go down to the actual meeting
And ask repetitive questions. And then ask ask repetitive questions.
All right. Doesn't want to. There you go.
$1 million in state aid.
All our money to Albany.
District that the people of Yonkers do. The whole...
The future years.
However, we're here today asking our taxpayers to give more or asking for cuts. The situation with Yonkers Public Schools, I've been a resident of Yonkers my entire life. I attended Yonkers Public Schools. My child attended Yonkers Public Schools. Our issues in the public schools didn't begin overnight. They can't be fixed overnight. We all recall a time when there was a $55 million deficit in our Yonkers Public Schools. We don't have that today. We talk about fund balance with Yonkers Public Schools, but we also say that they're dependent schools. So they don't have fund balance. That's our money. That's the city's money that was sent from the city to the schools, or state funding that was sent to the schools, or federal funding that was sent to the schools. The schools does not have their own money. So it's our fund balance that we're allowing the schools to use. Yes, absolutely. If they have a fund balance to use, why not use it? Why bankrupt the city just to say, look, we did more? It's not fiscally responsible. We didn't cut additional positions. We know there have been times in the budget where there have been pink slips to teachers when budget time came around. We didn't cut one teacher position. When the public schools got their ARPA money, they decided wisely to fund positions such as guidance counselors, social workers, psychologists. That was a smart decision. However, they knew that money was only going to last 3 years. We didn't cut those positions this year. They were funded in this budget. So to say we can do more from where and on the backs of whom? And why weren't we all in Albany saying, hey, we need to do more, give us more money? We were not all in Albany asking for more. We send, as Councilman Moranti says every year, and we don't need to rebuttal that because I'm agreeing with you here, we send all our money to Albany and we don't get it back. So where we need to look to get additional money is from Albany. We cannot break the tax cap. We cannot put this expense on the backs of our taxpayers. As we say, they are poor. So we cannot expect them to carry the burden when the responsibility is on Albany to do so. As I said, the issues didn't begin overnight, and we cannot fix them overnight. Absolutely, we all agree. We want more for our schools. There's not one person here that's saying, don't give the schools more. What are they going to do with the money? But we have to be honest that most of the school money goes in salaries, not directly to the students. So when we say give more, is it give more money to the teachers, which they do an excellent job, and anybody that refutes that lived through it through COVID and know that the teachers deserve every penny that they get.
She had to catch herself right there.
But the large amount of money in the budget that goes to the schools goes to salaries, not to spending for the students. students. So while we sit here and we grandstand and we talk about politics, it's disheartening when at the end of the day, it's about the students. We know there are programs in the school. Could there be more? Absolutely. When we grew up, we had instruments to take home. We don't have that, but there is a band. They were here in the chamber. We had chamber music in the chamber. We had the gospel choir singing for us during Black History Month. They have programs. Can there be more? Absolutely. There are football teams. There's the Force and there's the Brave. When I was in high school, we had our own individual teams. Absolutely. Could we do more? Sure. Is that going to happen overnight? Absolutely not. Should we bankrupt the city in order to say we have a band, we have art, we have music? That is not fiscally sound. When we need police officers, we need firefighters, we need garbage collectors, we need water. So to say that we want to raise, we need to cut somewhere. And I haven't heard one person say where the cuts should be. Our schools get less from Albany disproportionately to the other big fives. However, how many other big fives were recognized by President Obama this year? Yonkers Public Schools were recognized with their MBK program by President Obama in Chicago this year. Our schools are nationally recognized and we do the most with the least. So for that, I applaud our schools, and they know, coming from me or any other member on this council, whatever they need, we will give them. However, we cannot bankrupt the city or break the tax cap when we have to run an entire city. And to imply that that is the case is not fiscally sound and is not wise. Our students have sports, they have arts, they have music. Of course, we want more, and that will take time. With the MOE, for the viewers who are watching, the maintenance of effort is a pot of money that the city is responsible to giving to the school district. Every year, that maintenance of effort must remain at least the same. If we give $500,000 to the schools this year, next year we have to at least give $500,000 to the schools. We had maintenance of effort increase last year. We gave money in other pots of money to the schools. We wanted to give $750,000 for security last year. We are committed to education. However, increasing maintenance of effort, knowing that we can't decrease it by 1 penny ever in the future, is not wise to do. We increased it this year by $5 million. That means next year we have to have that $5 million at least. We can't have $499,999. That won't cut it. It will be $5 million at least. So to say keep increasing when you don't know where your money's coming from is not wise. You would not in your household budget sit and say, I'm going to go buy a Lamborghini and I don't know if I'm going to have a job next year. You know that that would not be wise to do because you don't know where the money's going to come from. So let's be serious. Let's be realistic. Let's be fiscally sound with this budget, and let's not grandstand or campaign in the council chamber, because that is not fair to the residents of the city of Yonkers. Let's come here, let's do our job, and the fact that we're doing it on Memorial Day weekend on a Friday when everybody wants to be at the Jersey Shore says we're committed, rather than pushing it out. Because we can, because Albany was late with their budget, we could push it out, but that creates cash flow problems, like the commissioner said. So the fact that we're sitting here on a Friday when everyone else wants to be somewhere else says we're committed, because this is our job and it's an important one. So the fact that we're here shows we're here to get the job done. Whether someone else wants to be somewhere else is totally on them. If you are all committed to being here, come here with open minds and open ears, not coming in saying, I'm saying no. We sat here through the entire process. We heard everything that was to be said. I started the meetings, or tried to start the meetings, on time every day. My son's birthday, I was here at a council meeting. Last year, I left my husband on the operating table to be here at the council meeting. So I don't put anything else, not a holiday,
Don't forget about your cousin.
Anything before this budget hearing. And we sit here, people come late and want to drag the meeting out. No, we are, even if we start late, we're ending on time. If you want to ask questions, be here on time. Be here committed and ready to go, because this is our job. I've had enough with the grandstanding that goes on in this chamber when we all took an oath to serve the city of Yonkers. And to say someone else was responsible for you having your word. I took an oath to represent the entire city of Yonkers. I'm the junior member here. I've been here a year and a half. Some people have been here 12 plus years. Some people have been the former budget chair. You know all well how the process goes. Last year, I was the brand new person and didn't know a daggone thing about making amendments or making requests, and I figured it out. I may think I'm smart, but you all have been here a lot longer than I have. We all know how the process goes. The mayor presents his budget. We make our request. If you had a request, you make your request through the chair, through your leader. However you make your request, you make it. You don't sit back and say, you didn't call me, so I didn't get to say anything, because you weren't elected for me to call you. You were elected to represent your constituents. So if you didn't receive a call, you could have made a call to say, hey, I know we're in the process of the budget. I'm the former budget chair. I know how that process goes. Here's what I would like to see. I didn't get an email, a phone call. When term limits happened, I got millions of phone calls and emails from people that you represent. Mr. Moranci, now I'm directing it to you. I didn't get one from you. I didn't get you calling me saying, hey, I'd like to see. What I did see was I'm voting no for anything that's an increase. That's what I did see. So you came in here not being open-minded to the process. You came in here saying, I'm voting no. So again, if I need 4 votes to pass this budget, why am I asking the person that's voting no? What would you like to get you to yes? Because the answer is nothing if there's a budget increase, is what you said at the beginning of this process. So to feel like you left out, you excluded yourself in that process. You should have came here with an open mind and saying, here's what I would like to see, no increase, but let's see what's going on, and then I can make some suggestions. You started out with, I'm voting no. Whether that was a political position because of a position you're running for, I don't know. But you started out with, I'm voting no to any budget increase. Because it was a budget increase, I know you're voting no because you said it. So ask me again what I need to come ask you. Hey, what would you like to see other than a budget decrease? You had ample opportunity. You have my number, my email. You see me every time. Most of our conversations about changes happen right here in this chamber as we were standing here together. So to say you were excluded is not a true statement. You chose to exclude yourself, and you want to blame everyone else because no one reached out to you when you chose not to be a part of the process. When we had our flag raising downstairs, you made the comment, I don't even need to come upstairs. I'm not voting for the budget. You excluded yourself. Now you want to play victim, and that's not going to fly. When it comes to this budget, we all made trips to Albany. We all asked Albany for money. We all had our opportunities to make requests. Individuals that also may say we've excluded, I've had conversations. I didn't exclude them. That was a part of your own to say I'm not voting for it. I will be voting for this budget. I will give you the floor to say something else. But the truth of the matter is you came in here saying I'm not voting for the budget if there's any increases in it. And that's why no one asked you what you wanted to add to the budget, because we know that is a budget decrease. And because we can't do that, you're voting no. So what's the point of asking you what else you want? And I'll give you the floor to make your comments.
I want to thank you for admitting the fact that because I made my comment, you didn't waste your time asking me to do it. But you should have tried. But you're right. It's my fault for not doing it. That is correct. Bad on me for accepting the fact that maybe somebody here would possibly have said, hey, let me take a shot and see if we can do something with this guy. No, you didn't even bother with it. Didn't bother. You admit it. You didn't bother. Thank you very much. As far as the comment about the Jersey Shore thing, I wasn't saying that us being here. You're all wrong. I'm saying that people are not around. They're not caring right now. People are not in any even though we had budget hearings, public hearings. Okay. What I'm saying is that this is being done. We could have waited till next Tuesday to do this, and when everyone's back, and maybe they will be paying a little more attention. But right now, people are not paying attention. I don't like to do things in the I want to call it the dark of the night, because we're not doing it in the dark of the night. That's for sure. But the point of the matter is that every big decision we seem to make happens to come just before a holiday weekend. And that's why I'm saying that we have plenty of time. I don't remember the exact days. I didn't go back to look at the calendars as to what we tried to do, because we did try to get things done at a certain period of time. And yes, I did do it. I got it done for 2 years. I did it during COVID. I made it work during COVID. So the bottom line is that I wasn't saying about us. It's our job to do this thing. If we want to do it on Sunday at high noon, I'm ready to go anytime. You're right. That is my job. I wasn't talking about us. I was talking about people are not paying attention at this particular time, not us. I wasn't saying about we should be going. I'm saying that the people are not around paying attention. It would have been nicer to wait until next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, people come back. Hey, maybe they want to, because then you know what someone's going to say to me. You know what? I just know what a lot of people are going to say to me. They passed this budget without us knowing about it, and we know that's not true. We know that's not true. But the point of the matter is that, but doing it on this particular day is, I think, disingenuous. But like says, we're here to do our job. So let's do it,
brother. I get it. This is a comedy show. This is a comedy show. These people, I don't know. This is sad. Like the whole meeting was bad because I mean it basically really it's about them arguing, right? It's about them, saying what they had to say to each other, and Lakeisha Collins Bellamy basically said to Moranti, well, yeah, you're right. I didn't we didn't notify you or bother to call you or invite you or whatever he was looking for because we already knew how you felt. So why bother? We're going to have a meeting, but we know you're going to vote no, so we're not even going to call you to come. Don't worry about it. We know how you don't want it, right? We don't care what you have to say. We already said what you have to say. And so she say that, that's his responsibility. I do get that, though. I do understand that, Moranti. I mean, you do have to still be there. You have to find out what's going on. You got to know. And if they do things sneaky, then you have to step up to them and say, yo, y'all not going to do this to me like this. All right, don't ever be sneaky again. Or we're going to have problems. That's it. That's what you have to say. So you can't blame them for you not being at meetings. Granted, maybe they were, being kind of messed up and shady about it, but you have to be there. Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, $5 million isn't enough. Don't please give me that. And by the way, did you hear her? She said, when I was in school, every high school had its own team. But Tasha Diaz was saying that the schools have gotten better since back then. So which one is it? All right. Were they good or were they not good back then? And actually they were a lot better. They did have all these different, sports team and activities and stuff. A lot of it was cut and most of it was not brought back. And please don't give us that Sharks and whatever that other team is. What is it? The Force and the, I don't know what it was. 2 football teams. That's not good. They don't have no cheerleaders. Their uniforms are raggedy. Think about this, Lakeisha, when they step on the field with them other schools that's all decked out, right? Because they don't have a council like this, right? Fighting and arguing and don't know what the hell's going on. You guys sound like you're in the street, really. You guys sound like you're in the hood, you're outside, and you're debating over things that you really don't even know what you're talking about. Because there is ways to find the money for these programs, right? There is ways to do this. It's just you don't want to. You guys don't want to mention the ways you can find money, right? Because there's a lot of cuts that can be made. And you started out the right way, but you caught yourself, right? She started out by saying, well, most of that money goes to the salaries, not to the students. But, they're really great teachers and they deserve it. I'm not saying that they don't do a great job and that they don't deserve. Yeah, you caught yourself there. You're right. You should expand it on that instead of, changing directions in mid-sentence. Right? You should have expanded on that. That is one of the huge problems. That is one of the biggest reasons why our schools don't have what they need, why our city is lacking in so much, because of the exorbitant salaries. They are too much. When 65 or more % of the revenue that the city has to work with each year, whether it's school or on the city side, goes to paying the people who are supposed to be working for the city. I say supposed to because some are not, right? That's a problem. That's a problem. You can't spend most of your money on salaries. And if you have a business, you would know this, right? If you had the law firm Esquire, as you say, you would know this. If you had the real estate firm, as you say, Esquire, you would know this, right? No one's going to spend on their business 60% of your revenue on employee salaries, unless most of it is going to you, the owner, the president, the CEO of that company. Then I guess that makes sense. You want to take the money, but you're not going to pay most of your money that you generate in your business to salaries. And if you are doing that, you're going to find ways to cut back. The goal is to make more money. not to pay people to do this, right? And sure, this isn't a for-profit business, I guess, the city of Yonkers, but the goal is not to put more money in your pocket, but the goal is to put more money towards the schools. So how do you do that? Why don't you go through all the overtimes that people are getting in these different departments? That's a start, City Council President. Why don't you write a letter to the IG and ask him to investigate that the same way you guys asked him to investigate Mike Cater, Miss Esquire? Because that letter that you wrote to Liam McLaughlin to investigate Mike Cater, this former City Council President, the guy that once sat in your chair, has cost the city probably about $1 million now. And what that money could have done for the school district. They shut down the program, the cheerleading program that was full of Black and Latina girls, mostly Black, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, right? Because they couldn't pay $8,000 for the mats that they needed. That's right. This is a true story, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy. $8,000, these girls, about 30 girls now, right? My wife started with like 10, and it grew probably less, and it grew to 30. And then they were getting so many that, not all could make it. That was growing, and that was blowing up, and that was going to become something amazing. But because of $8,000, they canceled it. They let these girls down. Black girls that look like you, Lakeisha. You know what I'm saying? That grew up where you grew up, that are living where you used to live. Got shut down for $8,000. But that letter you wrote to Liam McLaughlin that launched the investigation into Mike Cater has cost us taxpayers about $1 million. So you rather have spent our taxpayer money on that bogus investigation so you could have your seat and you could make your money, taxpayer money, and the girls over there at Roosevelt that were in the cheerleading squad are no longer on a squad because of $8,000 that the school didn't have. So when you ask me, where do you want us to come up with these cuts so we can pay for that? How about your job? Because you're a waster, as someone once told me. But if you don't want to cut your job, how about you stop that BS investigation into Mike Cater so you're not spending any more money that we don't have? That's a start, Lakeisha. How many deputies do we have in these departments? What about your chief of staff? How much is she getting paid? What about Tasha Diaz, your good friend? How much is her chief of staff getting paid? What time does he report to work? Since you're talking about getting to work on time. How much work does he actually do? Is it worth $93,000? Let me ask you this, Lakeisha. What's more important, Brenton Bullock or those girls who are no longer on the cheerleading squad? What will do more for our community? What will do more for the city? What will do more for this school? Brenton Bullock, the $93,000 a year chief of staff of Tasha Diaz, or having a cheerleading program for our young girls, most of them who are Black, that look like you, Lakeisha, that would otherwise be on the street on a Saturday and after school doing God knows what. What's more important? And so that's where you make the cuts. But that's not what you're going to do, right? That's not what you're going to do, is it? That's not what you're going to say. You put it on the teachers. You said they make too much money. Yeah, maybe. But that's not where I would start. They'd be the last ones I look at, actually. I would start right there in City Hall, right in your office. Then I'd move on to the majority leader's office, then to the minority leader's office. And let's make cuts there. How much did you guys spend on your offices? What about those cars you drive all the time? Shanae Williams has made it her personal car. She drives it on the weekends everywhere. How many has she crashed? There we go. We can make cuts there. You don't need the cars. Gas, insurance. What about keeping term limits so that you elected officials don't get these crazy pensions that are costing us a lot of money and is only going up, as John Rubel said? I can give you a lot more areas, Lakeisha Collins Bellamy, City Council President and Esquire, where you guys can make legitimate cuts and put that money to the schools where it's very much needed. But there should not be made, not one cut should be made to our school district, not one. Unless, of course, they're showing their penises to students. Unless, of course, they are soliciting prostitutes on Craigslist. Yeah, I know about you. They told me everything. And I don't care who you go run tell. Don't matter. Think we need that? Absolutely not. I don't give two fucks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. They can make cuts if they want. That's bullshit. Stop playing with our kids.
Freddie wins.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins.
I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Keeping them honest, the place where truth lives and corruption dies. Look, folks, I hear that there is the rumors going around about me. What else is new? So I got a text message. Was it this morning? Someone says, or was it yesterday? Someone says, I hear you're in Vinny. You're back in Vinny's good graces. Am I? I didn't know. Tell me more. No. I don't know what that's about. But anyway, folks, it may have something to do with the fact that, mutual acquaintances has reached out to me. Really what it's about, it's not necessarily being in anybody's good graces, but the families, right? And I agree with this. Wives and children should be off limits. And so I think that, I can agree to that, right? I can definitely be a part of that, you know what I'm saying? And so, my wife has gone through hell, and I apologize to her because I know as a result of this podcast, and and she doesn't hold it against me at all. She's not going to divorce me like they say. But still, as her husband, I don't want her, going through what she's been going through. I mean, the blatant retaliations, the targeting, it's been unbelievable. It's giving her physically anxiety. And so, I think that, and that's where a lot of my, going at people has come from. I mean, my wife is like, this is not okay. She's having to see a doctor now. She's having to get medication for this because, she knows that they're looking at her, and they have this, camera system now that they put into these schools where they can see every corner just about in these schools. They can see every room just about. And so she's like, are they watching me on every camera? I can't even do a job. She has students coming up to her, Miss, well, they don't like you, man. They don't like you. This is what students are telling her. This is inappropriate, man. That's the problem, Lakeisha. That's the problem, Lakeisha, right there. And then you got other little that'll lie and make things up, and they'll blatantly lie. So even if you don't do something, there are people that are willing to lie, blatantly lie, and say things that are not true. And that's unfortunate, So for the sake of my wife, and I guess for the sake of their wives, and and I never went after children, but I guess for the sake of whatever, they reached out. What could we do? It's not. I said, listen, you Brian Harrod, you got this other, the pedo guy. They're going after my wife all crazy, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go after you, however you guys don't, you don't want it, then stop dishing it out. Stop dishing it out. Brian Harrod has no reason to come after me other than he's being paid, and the man, it needs money. The man is, $2 away from being homeless. Ruros, the man is another loser, right? He's another unaccomplished, pedophile. And so he needs the money. And so they're paying him. So that's what they do. They're going to continue doing it, right? And so now it's gotten to the point where they're calling my mother a crackhead. They're saying that my father died of AIDS. I mean, these are things that I'm getting, messages, comments. They're saying things about my sister who unfortunately passed away of an overdose. So some of the most disgusting things that have been said. And, I think that is best if I can come to an understanding with some people to at least let's stick to politics, okay? I'll talk all day about the politics and things that's going on, corruption, but let's leave the wives out of it and that stuff. I can agree to that because honestly, it's going to get me to a point where, you know what I'm saying? It is. And if I can prevent that, then I'd much rather do that because I've exercised a lot of restraint. And it's almost making me like, I can't be, so that's maybe where you guys are hearing from. No, I mean, we're not back to dating. Remember, like some people say we're not back to dating. No, but, I'm not a person that likes to, cross those boundaries. I'm really not. That's not who I am. And so, even if I feel like I'm being attacked and they come after my wife and it's disgusting, it still, doesn't, sit well with me to, engage in that type of stuff. Right. And so, if we could leave it out, we could at least agree to that, then I'm with that. So that's what that's about. If, I don't know what people really, where it even got like, but I just want you to guys know that I'm always about honesty, transparency, letting you guys know different things, what's going on with me. So that's what that's about. So shout out to you guys for getting the information or whatever information you guys got. That was good. So, and that goes to show to the people, who I speak on my podcast. You see, my people get the information. They're already like, Freddie, you better don't be, no, don't worry. No. But, we have to have some kind of boundary. We have to agree to some level. And I think we all can agree that, our wives, who are innocent victims, our kids especially, should not be discussed, should not be put on social media, none of that stuff, and I agree to that because I just don't want to, I don't want to do something where I end up in jail. I really don't. And I will. And I will. I will. Because I wanted to hurt that guy. That guy, Ruros, I wanted to hurt you, Ruros. For real. And I challenged, I challenged him to a charity boxing match, right? I challenged Ruros to a charity boxing match. He turned it down. He said he wants it to be on pay-per-view. Is the only way he would do it. And I was like, well, I don't think we're ever going to get on pay-per-view there. So that's a cop-out. You're scared, but you'll talk all day, right? Who would like to see that? You just like to see a boxing? What about me and Vinny Spano? How about that? Maybe I'll reach out and to say, hey, tell Vinny Spano, we do a boxing match for charity. For charity. We'll do it at the PAL. We'll do it with the firemen versus the police thing, right? That'll be like the main event. But I really would rather fight Ruros because I really have some things to let off on that guy. And Brian Harrod. How about you, Ru, and Brian Harrod at the same time versus me? Celebrity, we're not celebrities. Boxing match, right? Charity boxing match. How about that? You and Brian, Ru, the two of you together at the same time versus me at the PAL. Or we could do it at John's place. Hey, John, set that up. John Morrison, set that up for us, please. Please, reach out to Ru. Convince him, please. Charity. I'll give you all the money. We'll donate it to you, John. Or we'll donate it to the PAL. All right? You guys want to do that? Let's see that. Brian Harrod and Ruros at the same time versus me. Celebrity. Oh, no, I keep saying celebrity. Charity boxing event. All right? Let's give it. And look, Lakeisha, why don't you set it up? Since Brian lives in one of your buildings at Macy's, set it up for us. We can donate the money to the schools. How about that? Since you guys can't figure out where to get more money from, so we can give it to the schools, right? That, they need the money. I agree to do a charity boxing match against Ruros and Brian Harrod at the same time. All proceeds will go to the Yonkers Public Schools. How about that? Lakeisha, set it up. Wilson. What up, Wilson? Wilson. How about Wilson? How about with James? James Kavanaugh, get in the ring with me for charity. I know you want to fight me. I know you want to fight me bad, James. I know you do. You hate me. I know it. Come kick my ass. Come kick my ass for calling your wife a hooker. Come kick my ass. Come on. Come on, for charity. I'll let you kick my ass for charity. You know, we'll donate it to the Yonkers Public School. James Kavanaugh. How about that? Right? I'm sure there's a lot of guys over at DPW like, I'll fight him. I'll fight him. I'll fight him.
Freddie wins.
Let me at him. Let me at him. Why I at him? Why I yada.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
Oh, that'll be fun. I'm with it. I'm with it all the way. 1,000%. Let's do charity boxing matches. That's how we're gonna, you know. And Tasha, you can fight Corazon. That'd be.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
Freddie wins. Fatality. Freddie wins.
No! And then we could do a Prince versus Mike Breen charity boxing match. I think that would be dope too. And all the money could go to Nathan's Hot Dogs. I'm Freddie Vasquez. Have a beautiful Memorial Day weekend. Be blessed. Be safe. God bless you. May your life be full of joy and happiness. I want to see everyone happy, even everyone under the Yonkers City Council.